Welcome, true believers. Welcome, Geek Show friends and family. It's time to talk about The Last of Us. Holy cow. The season's over.
Tony, you're doing great so far.
Oh, thanks. trying to bring the energy, trying to, be good. And
So we had how many episodes of this?
So we're covering 2 episodes today, the second to last episode and the finale. And we got a total
8 and 9.
Yep,
I'll say this,
9.
boy, how perfect is this? And I've not played the game, but I got to say, as far as watching a show, these 9 episodes have been just so compelling and good.
Yeah,
Yep. Perfect
super
television.
Good. The 9th episode, especially, was really interesting. We'll get to why, but I really the first part of the 9th episode where you get to see some origin stuff really got me very good. But the 8th episode is where we're going to start.
Oh, Todd's Steakhouse.
Todd's Steakhouse.
I stole your joke, Tony.
Now serving the long pork. I couldn't get.
So where are they in this one?
So they're in
Jackson,
Some ski
Wyoming.
resort.
They're-
Some ski resort town.
somewhere between Jackson
no.
and Salt Lake. So I'm betting probably some ski resort town, probably in northern Colorado is what I'm betting.
Huh? Like Vale.
It could be Vail, yeah, somewhere
Maybe.
like Vail. And
Because Jackson
I'll
Hole is
go-
where his brother's at.
Maybe the internet
Right.
has options for us.
they might. And so we start the episode after Ellie, couldn't remember her name, after Ellie sewed up.
Doing great.
Thank you. After Ellie sewed up Joel's wound, and she's just trying to basically stay with him, hoping he's going to get better. But we can see clearly that he is not getting better.
No.
He is sweating profusely.
Silver Lake is a town in Colorado.
Okay.
Okay.
Could be Silver Thorn as well. That is before Vale on I-70. I've been there. I spent a night there when they closed I-70 once because it was snowing so hard. Anyway, he's obviously not doing well, and he looks like if he doesn't get medical attention soon, he's going to die.
It was
Probably of infection.
pus-filled.
Yeah, it was gnarly. And so she goes out looking for food, bags of deer, but it runs off, and before she could get to it, some folks from the town over find it, and we get introduced to this group of survivors in another town that have basically become kind of a post-apocalyptic religious cult.
Yep.
Oh man, when
What
can
could
I
go
see-
wrong?
When will
Yeah.
you bury my dad?
Yeah.
Yo.
Oh, geez.
Ground's too cold.
Lee, yo, as soon as he said the ground is too cold, I already knew he was on some BS. I was like, no, I already knew.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, say less.
And
I know what I'm
I was
doing.
trying to keep my natural distrust of religious figures down to a minimum, but the second you said that, it's like,
Well,
I said,
and here's the thing.
uh-uh.
Having studied, all the pioneer stuff, living in Utah, raised in Utah, from learning the pioneer stuff that the way they buried their dead was they would dig underneath where the campfire was that night before because the ground was warm from the campfire.
oh,
So-
I thought you just ate him.
Well, that wasn't
Listen,
till
here's the thing.
that wasn't till later. What was the wagon train that ate their
Donner
Donner
party?
party.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. Were I in a similar situation, you heard it here first, folks. Rebecca would resort to cannibalism.
Okay.
But
Okay, Army Hammer.
because
Now he did
Armie
it for
Hammer,
fun.
call
She does it
me.
out of necessity.
this is out of necessity. Because it is wrapped
The
up
bare
in this Jesus-y blanket, now it's not okay. But if these guys were just some regular old agnostic
Thank you.
atheists-
It
Thank
was
you.
like a.
It's
It was like
true.
a. It was like a girls soccer team crashing the Canadian Rockies.
No,
I
it
mean,
wasn't
it's
a girl. No, that's the Yellow Jackets.
Yeah.
But
so
like
it's
the
o-
actual
so-
soccer team that crashed in the Andes.
Wait a minute. So it's okay to eat agnostics and atheists? What?
Yeah, yeah.
It's socially acceptable.
In a
All I'm
time
saying-
of necessity.
all I'm saying-
So
Look, no,
so we
here's-
can't eat Tony.
Here's
We can't eat Tony, but
See?
but
in
I'm
a
off
time
limits.
of necessity.
No, here's where the difference is. If there was no, and this saddens me to say this, but I feel like if there was no religious cult involved, people would just be upfront with each other and be like, yeah, we have to eat this
ya.
person.
I'm gonna eat
But
ya.
since there's religious
Exactly.
cultism involved, they try to hide it from their followers when it's like, why would
Venison.
you? Don't hide this. Be upfront with everyone.
So,
Tell everyone
look,
the whole truth.
Look, this is how, if we're stuck in the 5 of us are stuck in post-apocalyptic Colorado and there's
Who
zombies
are we
everywhere.
eating first?
And seriously, I know the first thing that's going to happen is Jay's going to say, "I know how this ends," and he's taking off. He already told me this. He already told me this when we were driving down to San Diego, and he's like, "We see an abandoned gas station. I'm running." And so, and now, but I'm going to be looking at Tony. I'm going to be doing a lot of push-ups and sprints and deep dives because it's going to come down to the battle of the big guys to see who's eating who first.
Because one of us is definitely getting eaten first. There's a lot of meat on these bones.
And I am marbled grass-fed USDA prime right here.
Carrie and I are eating well.
And see, and then I'm showing back up as an eyewitness. Like what? Hey, so I knew them all before all this went down. They were good people.
In the documentary.
Yeah, I'm in the documentary. I'm in the Hulu documentary.
The podcast about us.
Yeah.
I actually I went down a rabbit hole actually it was during the show. I think I paused it and started Googling things on a private browser,
Cannibalism.
by the way, because you don't want Google knowing
Yeah, like that's
what
private.
you're looking up. So you turn on the VPN and you turn on the private browsing. But anyway,
Yeah, that'll do it.
I learned cannibalism in and of itself, the consumption of human meat will not hurt the consumer in any way that regular hang on.
Animals
I'm
eat
getting to
their
it.
babies all the time.
Yeah, so it doesn't hurt. It doesn't mess with your body. It's just like eating any other meat. However, it's the brain. If you consume a human brain, it messes with the chemicals or whatever of the person's brain. There's a word for it. It's like
Challenge accepted.
It's called like churro something. I can't remember the word for it. But
All right. All right,
You said churro. I'm ready.
All right,
Sure.
Dr.
Challenge
Lecter.
accepted.
So anyway, now that you know that,
Finally opening PJO Pooter Toots.
Yes.
Give me a human brain to eat. Let me do it.
what are you trying to play there, Carrie?
Trying to play a thing that it won't let me play, but it's
Sounds like you're playing the Wind of Silver Lake, Colorado.
Yeah, as I said, all I hear is white noise.
all right. Here we
Oh, Jay.
Oh no! Shut up!
It's got to be white.
Wow, man, are you kidding me with this?
No, no, like shut up!
Wow.
No.
So rude.
all right. Here,
Yeah,
let me,
I'm getting tired of your white noise.
hang on. Hang on. Let me play this for you. Here we go. In just
Oh
a
my
second. Here we go.
A lot of people overlook, but there's a lot of good meat on the face.
Exactly. So let's cut through our white noise for a minute here.
Shut up! I hate it.
Get to the meat and potatoes. And we'll get to the meat and potatoes of this story.
I didn't see any potatoes in this story.
It was mostly carrots.
You know how you
love
knew
carrots.
you know how
But
you knew Todd was a bad dude? You know how you knew Todd was a bad dude? When they bring him his meat platter. Everybody else is sitting there like little soup full of stringy gruel,
Morsels.
Yeah.
and he's got like a platter. He
Yeah.
looks like he went to Chuckarama and just
Yeah.
took the tray back with him.
He's eating
Yes.
well.
yeah.
He's eating well,
Yeah.
and he was
And did
and he
we-
was loving it.
Did
I
you
think-
notice
I
that
think
they
he said
zoomed?
he's eating Will.
Will.
He's eating Will.
Ah!
Did you notice that they lingered on the girl whose dad died during that scene as she ate the stew?
Yeah.
You know it. You know it. So
We gotta talk about though his right hand man, played by Troy Baker, who
Yep,
played Joel in the video game.
the voice of Joel in the video games.
But not only the voice, but like the body movements.
Oh, he did the
too.
motion capture stuff too as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
But he challenges David a lot, like
Yep.
especially in regards to religion, like because the only thing David's got is rule by religion. That's the only thing he's
right.
got, and he's
The
challenged.
Lord!
Holy edict is really hard to countermand.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they end up. So basically, they end up capturing Ellie after they
But
try to
Ellie-
they make a deal where Ellie trades the deer for 2 bottles of penicillin, and she's able to go back before she gets captured. She's able to go back and inject Joel with the entire bottles of penicillin on
But
each
also, like,
injection.
she has no idea what she's
Yeah,
doing, and I
yeah.
love that they were like, she's like got the stuff. She's like, okay, now
She's got-
what?
Yeah.
She just
She's got basic Fedra training, right? She knows
Yeah.
how to stitch a wound, and
she
whatever else
puts-
she learned.
She injects it right into the wound because
Who can blame her,
I mean,
honestly?
that's what looks like that's the bad place. So,
Yep.
and then what? I'm trying to remember why she goes out again after she.
Well, because
injects him
the hunters are coming.
Oh, that's right.
And
They go after
the
her.
hunters are
so
coming to
she-
get her.
That's right.
Because the man that they are eating is someone that Joel killed. The man that they are eating is the person who stabbed him with the baseball bat and Joel killed. And so now they know that the man who killed our friend. That's another thing this show does is they name their dead. Every dead person is you are made aware they are a person, because so that weight of killing somebody sticks with you. And they know that their friend was killed by a man with a little girl, and they found him. And so it is time for justice, and they are off to get him.
Yep. And she gets captured as they come up because she's trying to draw everyone away from Joel, basically.
Yep.
She doesn't want Joel to get found.
Oh, my
unfortunately,
gosh.
he does get found, but the antibiotics have done enough work that he's able to actually get up and move
What?
around.
Kind of antibiotics are they on?
Really
he's
good.
in,
at
I
it.
think it was
he's
the
on-
sheer will to live.
Yeah.
No, man,
That's
it's like
antibiotics, meth, and pre-workout. That's all that is.
All in one.
and adrenaline, and oh my gosh, his kill spree. is
Legendary.
nuts.
Well,
Yo.
that's because, as we have learned, as we will learn, is that Joel really sees Ellie as his family, his daughter.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
he's got
He
the
drank them.
history and the skills.
And
He
that's
drank
where,
them living waters from the Mythosaur.
Exactly.
He's
And
that
if-
Liam Neeson. He's
So
got that
he-
Liam Neeson stuff.
Yeah, he calls upon all of that old behavior of his, and
His specific
just
set of skills.
you can just
Yeah.
see him. He's just he is a soulless killing machine.
Oh man,
Yeah.
because there's the bit where he's just like, oh, I already questioned him, and he's like, well, I'll give you all the information. He's like, I already believe you. Here, I got the information.
Boom.
It's fine. I believe him.
Oh,
Oh, so
man.
brutal.
Yep.
The bit I hate to jump on this right away. The bit where Ellie's in the cage and she sees what's under the chopping.
Oh, the ear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh.
And
She
that's how
knows.
she
So
knows.
well done.
Do not eat anything that they try to give her.
Oh.
Which is different from the video game, because in the video game they give her a plate. She has no idea. They give her a plate of food. She scarfs it up because she's hungry.
I
But
don't
then-
remember that. She eats
Yeah,
it.
she
huh?
scarfs. Yeah, she scarfs it up because she's hungry. But then later she finds out she's like, "Oh no!"
I already looked it up though. It's okay as long as it's brains. It's not okay. So she basically is able to. How does she escape again?
Well, so
grabs-
David's like, be my child bride, and she's
Yeah,
like,
he's
no,
trying to-
I'm good.
Yep.
And they're like, well, then we're going to eat you. And so they take her out and they plop her on the chopping block.
Oh, that's
and
what it was.
she's like,
Yes.
no, I'm infected. She pulls out the one last card that she has. She's like, no,
Yep.
I'm infected.
Yeah, smart.
And they're
Shows her
like,
arm.
okay, hold on.
Clever girl.
Well,
Clever girl. She grabs a cleaver, stabs Troy Baker in the neck with it, and he has
Yep.
just like the best time of his life
Oh,
with the
man.
cleaver sticking out of his neck.
Yep.
And then she escapes, and David starts chasing her through Todd's Steakhouse.
Todd's Steakhouse.
And this part was super unbelievable to me because she didn't die once. Whereas when I played the game, she died a bunch of times.
yeah. Well, and
There's
my thing too is he sees the fire on the curtain, and he's just
And he's like, oh well.
meh. I'm sure it'll
Deal
put
with that
itself
later.
out.
it's
he's not.
it's zealotry at that point, right?
Yeah.
There's a fantastic making of doc on HBO right now about the Last of Us season 1, and they got into the stunt coordinator who did the fire in that scene. And he's just like, yeah, you can only have like 50% of the room on fire or 40% of the room on fire because of safety codes and all this other stuff. So when they're showing how they made the fire in that scene and how they had to pipe it, and he's just like, we've got 200 propane spigots going at the same time.
Wow.
It's nuts. Love it.
But so eventually she gets away, and there's a very key difference here, because in the game doesn't Joel come in and he's like, I got you. right?
I believe so. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, so in the video game, Joel comes in, ultimately saves the day because she's like, I'm trying my best. And Rebecca's over here trying her best. But then Joel comes in and gets you. But here in the show, they gave Ellie her own agency. And like Joel cannot be the one to save her. Ellie has to save herself in this one. And she
Yep.
does, and it changes her.
Yeah.
And then,
Well,
and then she goes outside, and then Pedro Pascal is there, and he says the thing, and everyone goes, yay!
Well, I mean, and the effects on her, the events in this episode, it's not just the whole cannibalism thing, but the attempted rape thing.
Attempted murder, attempted rape,
Attempted murder, all of that carries over into
Yeah.
the final episode where she's not herself. She's
Yeah.
not happy, clappy, pun-filled, you know. And Joel's trying to bring that happy,
Yeah.
clappy
God bless
they're the
him, he's
person out.
trying.
Yeah.
They're the opposite from the beginning of
It's-
this season.
Yeah, they
she's breaking up.
switch.
Yeah.
He's trying his best to. I remember Ellie, and she was a lot of fun, and you're not that one, so let me try to bring
Where's
that out in you.
vitality,
But he's
and
all-
that
he-
spark.
And he's also, that you can tell just by his actions, like he's opened up his heart too, because he's accepted that he can love again, and he does, and it's Ellie. And we learn that a little bit later when he says the other thing.
The foreshadowing at the beginning though was pretty awesome. Where not the flashback to Ellie being born.
Oh,
Yeah.
baby, let's talk about
So
it.
let's talk about that.
Ashley Johnson, who played Ellie in the video games.
Yeah.
Running through the forest, very pregnant, obviously about to give birth, runs into a house. She's being chased by a clicker, and the baby's coming, but clicker's also coming. And clicker comes, she stabs it. But while she did that, a baby popped out. And
And this house is somewhere she was obviously supposed to meet some other people.
meet some
Fireflies.
fireflies.
Yeah, she was supposed to meet some more fireflies there. And I let me tell you, nobody was, besides her, nobody was more surprised than me when she looks down and there's the baby after stabbing the
Yeah, I
that
was like, oh, interesting.
She must have took that penicillin that Joel got.
It's like, oh, it happened? Whoa.
Yeah.
But also, she cuts the umbilical cord after she's
With
been
the
bitten.
switchblade.
So there's two lines of belief here. One, Ellie, because she was bitten while still attached to the
Yeah.
umbilical cord. Or theory two, that knife has fungus blood all over it.
Oh, I didn't think about
Slicing
the
the
knife.
slicing the umbilical cord. Did that do anything itself?
Yeah,
They
it
had
could be.
found so many times that a mother's immune system will do everything to keep
Yeah.
that baby alive. So
Oh, breast
like,
milk is magic.
Yeah.
Right. So for her and her not wanting to feed Ellie after she was born was amazing. But like the body will do everything it can to keep that baby healthy, even at the mother's detriment. So either that or it's the same thing that happened to Blade's mom when Dracula bit her when she was.
That's what I'm
what I
going
thought.
for.
She did
I
have the
thought,
blade birth.
Yeah.
Shout out
So-
to Eric Brooks. What's up?
But then,
That's his real name.
But then we also learn what happens to Ellie. So Marlene and the Fireflies do show up eventually. It's been however many hours.
Yeah, probably,
And she's got the switchblade to her neck because she's ready at the drop of a hat to any inclination. But she gives the baby to Marlene. She's like, I need you to find somebody. I'm not asking you to watch this baby. I'm asking you to
Yep.
find somebody to watch this baby.
Yep.
But also you got to kill me. And it establishes a history with them, a relationship, a friendship with them that goes back.
That
since,
wasn't in the game, was it?
No.
No,
okay.
But it exists as a short outside of the game. Neil Druckmann wanted to make it its own separate thing, but it ended up not working out.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Was it was it going to be a playable short or just
No, I think
just
it
a
was-
thing?
No, just
this
a short.
I think this story was told a little bit in a comic spin-off.
I think that's what it was.
Yeah, a comic
Was
book
a comic
spin-off
spin-off.
of Last of Us, and it was called The Last of Us American Daughters.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, so
Well-
they inserted it into the TV show, and powerful scene, just a
Just
powerful scene.
just some great
Yeah.
storytelling. And again, I keep getting complaints from people who say there aren't enough zombies in this, and I'm like, I don't want them.
It's
I
not
don't
a
need 'em.
zombie story. Not a zombie
Yeah.
story.
Survival story.
I think this is what you guys are doing right now is perfect. I don't need I don't need the clicker of the week. You know,
They talk about again in this HBO doc. They talk about the episode where they had the swarm come up out of the ground in Kansas City, and they talk about literally they had 200 extras on set, and then they digitally added another 400, and they're like, okay, so there's your big zombie spectacle. The rest of this is how do you survive that, knowing it's out there.
Right.
You know it's out there. We don't need to see it every day to know that it's out there. Sometimes
Do you know who one of those?
saying.
Do you know who one of those clickers was? Jason
Bruce
Ritter, husband to Melanie Linsky.
Oh,
nice.
really?
There's pictures of him, and he's all cordyceps up.
Wow. Well, the other thing too that they do such a good job of in this show, and The Walking Dead did a good job of this too, at least for the seasons I watched, is showing that the zombies are bad, they are a big deal, but they are definitely not the most dangerous thing out there in the world anymore. The most dangerous thing out there is other humans, other people.
Right,
It's mad,
and
Bambi.
I think that's what drew people in. Is just like, the fact, there's a clear and present danger. Shout out to Harrison Ford, but like, I just like, I don't know why I said that, but like, the biggest problem with a post-apocalyptic world is not the apocalypse, is us. Mm-hmm. It's the world. You know what I mean? That's dope.
It's
And
the
they go
last of us.
And they go into that a lot more in the second game.
really?
Other
Good.
people and how dangerous other people are.
Hell is other people.
Once you learn to survive the pandemic, what the biggest problem is going to be is the people that stop paying attention to the dangers of the pandemic. Oh, I meant the zombie outbreak.
Yeah, come on.
So
Now YouTube ain't gonna like this.
So our heroes are headed to Salt Lake City to this hospital to hopefully get her.
And you get the
Traffic
giraffe
on
scene.
I-80.
It's still a mess, no matter what.
You get to the medical tent area, which is the part in the game where this is your last stop for loading up. So you better load up on weaponry.
That's Gateway Mall right there. That was Gateway.
That's how you know a boss fight's coming.
I just love that I-15 construction's never ending.
Right?
And never ending. Never ending.
What was funny to me is when I look at as they're coming in on I-80, and maybe I'm wrong, but to me it looks like they're coming in from the West Coast moving east with the way the mountains are positioned and
It looked to
everything.
me like they were on I-15 northbound.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
No,
Maybe it was
I'm with
that.
Lee.
Maybe it
I'm
was
with
that.
Lee.
Yeah. But either
I
way,
knew
they wouldn't
exactly
be.
where they were coming
They
from.
wouldn't be coming in northbound if they're coming from Jackson. They'd be coming going
They
south.
would. They
unless
would if they
went
came
down.
via Green River. Like if
Okay.
they came up via Green River. So
you're right.
the area they did, like the picture they took and then digitally composited, the picture they took of Salt Lake is my off ramp. So it's like that whole thing. I'm just looking at it going, this is 80% spooky as hell because it's there and not there, but there enough that I could go, if I didn't actually live right there, I wouldn't know they weren't in Salt Lake.
Yeah,
it's not like
wild.
the hills outside of Boston, right?
Well, let's be
10 minutes west of Boston.
I'm telling y'all, you say, like real quick, if you say 10 minutes west of Boston in a bar right now, there's if you just yell it out, 10 minutes west of Boston, somebody's gonna get, like, a lot of people are gonna laugh. It's really funny.
But here's the thing: is that they get to Salt Lake City, and there's giraffes. I'm here to tell you, the rednecks around here would have killed and eaten those giraffes a long time ago.
Yeah, unless they died from the cordyceps thing before everyone else.
Or the bombing or whatever it was.
Also, the thing about this giraffe, I'm looking at it, I'm like, 1,000% that's CGI. Only to find out that's not
real.
CGI at all.
Everything around the giraffe, CGI. But the
CGI.
giraffe itself was real.
And the part I'm hung up on is I live in downtown Salt Lake. I don't know where that little ballpark is.
Well,
It
that's
doesn't
the thing.
exist.
It's
a parking lot.
I googled it.
Picky,
really
picky,
cool.
picky.
What was really cool about that ballpark is the name of the ballpark is an Easter egg that was put in by one of the developers. It's his wife's name. And he had no idea that they replicated the name exactly the same in the TV show. So when he was watching it with his wife, it's like, oh, your ballpark.
That's your ballpark, huh?
Your Sandlot ballpark is there.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No,
You should have said, "Don't ever say I didn't do anything for you." I would have, I would have been like, "Yo, you see
So
that? I did that."
So they're at the place where you're getting the ammo.
Oh, we gotta talk about how Joel's like, hey, I gotta tell you about my scar, and the guy who missed. I was the guy who missed, and I just went, no.
Yeah. So that's not in the
And
game.
then-
That was added to the
Sorry,
TV
my
show.
earbud fell out. But
That was-
then Ellie's
that
like,
wasn't
I'm
in the
so
game.
No, that
she,
wasn't
no,
in the
not in the game at all. And Ellie's like, well, I'm so glad that didn't work out. And she's like, that's like literally what she says. She's
Yeah.
she's like, I guess time heals all wounds. And he goes, wasn't time that did it.
Yeah.
And I again just it disappeared.
Just so nice. Just so. Oh
But
yeah.
again, it's
Emotions.
It's a good TV show.
Oh,
it's
you
so
know,
good.
I know it's based on the game and everything, but this is an excellent TV show.
In no way,
And he
shape,
gives
or
her the
form.
choice. Oh, sorry, don't want Tony.
I was going to say, in no way, shape, or form do you have to have played the game to get just as much out of this show as
Totally.
someone has.
Absolutely.
What I also
And
love
the
is how likely it is that anybody that's in a militia is going to get pissed off and throw a stun grenade at somebody who's telling puns.
I mean, yeah.
What
But
were you gonna say, Rebecca?
So
I definitely.
So the Fireflies capture our heroes, take them to St. Mary's Hospital. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah, St. Mary's. You know,
You know,
we've been
St.
there.
Mary's.
Right next to the temple.
Yeah,
I got my blood drawn there the other day. But Joel wakes up, and there's our
Marlene. And a
Marlene.
couple of
That's her name.
guards.
Yeah, a couple of guards, and they let him know. Basically, he says, "Yes, our doctor thinks that we can make a serum that will solve this whole thing. The problem, we got to kill Ellie to get the brain."
As soon as he said that, I already knew it was a wrap. I was like, I haven't played the game, but I was like, everybody about to die.
Joel-
I really,
Yeah, Joel goes into Dark Joel mode from the old days.
Dark Joel.
yeah, yep.
And he takes over.
I love-
about to die.
I love that they talked a little bit about how it was going to work too, because in the game they just say, "Oh, we can make a serum out of the stuff that's wrapped around her brain, the cordyceps that's wrapped around her brain," and that's all they say. But in the show, they say, "Look, it looks like she's been living with this cordyceps infection her entire life, and what it does is it makes the other cordyceps." When she gets infected with it, the other cordyceps think, "Oh, this one's already infected," and it just moves on, and so they can reproduce that and give it to people. And I just love that they actually answered those kinds of questions in the show that we didn't get in the game.
But the sequence of Joel going through the hospital and doing his murder spree.
He's the Terminator in that.
Yeah.
thing.
So in the video game, I felt nothing, right? Because I'm like, oh, video game, these are just NPCs.
Yeah.
Get me to my alley. But in the show, they formulated it in such a way that you are watching an unhinged madman commit a horror story.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
What,
And-
a lone gunman in a hospital
And-
killing all the people that are trying to save humanity?
Yeah,
And we're aware that he is in the wrong, but
Yep.
we're
Totally.
cheering for him.
right. This is
But
Netflix
also,
documentary worthy.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, because like when I played the game, I was like, yeah, I know she could probably save humanity, but meh. But in the show, you care. Like there's a world full of people, and these people that you are killing do have names, and we're showing you the bullet casings falling to the floor to help you realize he's killing people who were probably weren't even supposed to be there that day. You know?
They
Come
never
on
really
now,
got
talk
into
about
whether Marlene never really says whether or not Ellie consented to the whole thing either, right?
Nope.
It's
She does
like-
not say that.
Yeah. So yeah.
But they hint a lot about in the podcast and in the show they talk a lot about how we already know what Ellie would say. We already know Ellie would agree and consent to this.
Yeah, and that becomes a big theme in the second game about that. The actions Joel did without Ellie's ability to make a decision in this.
Yeah.
And so
He's Misty in Yellow Jacket smashing the plane transponder, right? It's like
Yep.
you could have saved everybody.
yeah, exactly.
I'm not even supposed to be here today.
Exactly.
Yo, somebody was like, "Dog, man, I'm glad I took a sick day."
So
And that's the great ethical conundrum that we find ourselves
Yeah.
in all the time. Is like if your kid, if somebody that you spent everything, it risked everything for, if their death meant that the human race would go on, would you do it? Especially knowing in Joel's case, he's seen all the darkness of humanity. Does the human race
Yes.
really deserve
yeah.
to go on
So
when she's actually a really good person and she could make the human race better just by being part of it.
Nah, man. No. See, that's the thing. The reason why I'm Team Joel all the way. Quickest decision. I was like, yeah, sure, absolutely, no problem. Because if that was my son, I'm going John Q on everybody.
I agree.
For
I'm
the
not
show?
disagreeing with you, Jay.
For the show, I can't remember if it was for the show or for the video game, but they surveyed people afterwards, and they were like, how did you feel about Joel's decision? And people who didn't have kids were pretty 50-50 on it. But when they interviewed people who did have kids, 100% of them said absolutely agree with his
It's
decision.
a wrap. Humanity already had its chance. Like
Look at the number of
even
people-
if we get cured, we're back to being crappy again.
And here's the other thing too: is if Marlene knows what happened to Ellie, she knows how she was exposed to it. And the truth of the matter is, if you take a broader look at things, they can reproduce that. They can reproduce that situation in a new, I mean, we're talking about human experimentation here, which is a totally other subject in and of itself.
That's kind of a gruesome thing that you're talking about. We get people pregnant and then we kill them as they're giving birth.
No. You don't have to kill the person. Oh well, I guess you would because they would be infected.
Tony,
I didn't even think about that point. Yep.
And then you're killing their baby to get the.
I'm a bad person. Crap! I just realized I'm
Tony's
a bad
like,
person.
I'm gonna get ahead of this, and
Ethics
"Am I canceled?"
ethics are a bear. But you look at what's going on in Utah right now. Like our political structure is becoming somewhat unfriendly. Let's say a lot unfriendly towards trans people. And you have families.
fascist,
You have
probably.
families that are flat out saying, "No, I'm actually going to uproot my family, quit my job, and move to a state that doesn't have this issue going on." When you are
Michigan.
a parent, you're going to be going, "Yeah, no, I'm definitely rampaging through this hospital."
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, and the thing too, I was thinking about it as well. We don't have kids, but I was like, what if it was my wife?
Yeah.
What if it was my wife? And I would go the route of Joel. But then I thought, what if it was me?
Well,
and I said, if it was me, I would say do it.
Yeah.
And
In the
isn't
words
it
of Danny
interesting-
DeVito,
Isn't it interesting how it's like, I would sacrifice myself. Yeah, I think. I mean, just talking about it here, armchair quarterbacking. But would I sacrifice someone I love? No.
Armchair altruism.
Yeah,
What
armchair
the-
altruism, exactly.
what were you saying, Jay?
in the words of Danny DeVito in Always Sunny. So, anyways, I started blasting.
I started blasting.
That's me, bro.
And see, for me, it's a simple. There's got to be another way. There must be another doctor. Let's try something else.
Yeah.
When he shot that surgeon, I was like, it's a
Oh
wrap.
man, yeah.
Yeah.
He did let the nurses live though, right?
So-
Oh
I
yeah,
think-
because the
yeah.
nurses weren't armed and weren't. They
Didn't have a
also were not
scalpel,
supposed to be
yeah.
there to that day.
So for me, the conundrum wasn't did he do the right thing by killing those people. For me, did he do the right thing by lying to Ellie? That's
Yeah, a lot
that's
of
for me.
discussion, a lot of character
And
discussion
that's-
about this. Especially so on the last episode's podcast, they have Troy Baker and Ashley Johnson and Neil Druckmann and Craig Mazin, and they all have different answers on where they think Ellie's coming from in this moment. But it's pretty well agreed upon that like she knows he's full of shit. It's just whether I'm sorry, I swear, but it's whether or not
It's one of the safe ones.
she's choosing to believe him
Right.
or choosing to just let it go.
Right.
So, there's a lot of debate about where's
Yeah.
Ellie's headspace in this moment.
It's also
But
an
the
amazing
lies that
lie
we-
because he's not lying to her to save his own butt. He's not lying to her to say, "Oh, I didn't kill all those people." He's fine with that. He's lying to her to get her off the hook of being the chosen one.
Yeah.
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 Well, you're not special.
Now-
They had other kids and that failed. So
That was a solid parent lie. Like 10 for 10, no
Yep.
no notes. I was like,
No,
solid dad lie.
and those
right
other
there.
children went to a farm where they could run and play with other children.
Yeah.
I felt that one.
They pointed this out in the podcast too, because when you lie, you don't hem and haw about it. He didn't go, "Oh, I didn't lie." When you lie, you lie, and he does the thing. It's very human. He looks her in the eye, no, and she just, and that's it.
Yeah, it's that parent lie. You've got it. There you go.
Yep.
A wizard did it.
Yeah.
Damn, those
Magic
wizards.
bullet.
Yeah,
Pigs.
you don't go
Pigs is-
through what
Pigs
they
is
go
how
through.
they could do it. Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't see somebody going through what they went through and everything that they did together and him just saying, well, yep, okay, she's going to save the human race, especially knowing how awful the human race is.
Yeah.
Like, humanity
But
is
also-
capable of such beautiful, wonderful things, and at the end of the day,
Well, duality of of man. I mean,
Right.
But also,
Well-
you got to remember, before they even get to the hospital, before they even go in, he gives her a choice. He says, "Hey, we can stop here. We can
Yep.
turn around
Yeah.
and go back." And she goes, "No. Then what was all this for?"
exactly.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
basically, this whole series,
Yeah. So
I mean, that's
Back
how
to-
that's how my wife and I watched this entire.
the doctors definitely could have, now that we think about it longer, and I'm going back to what I said, pigs. There's so much experimentation done on pigs that is applicable to humans. I mean, they've even transplanted pig hearts into humans to see how long a person who was already dying of heart failure would last with a pig organ. So
Well-
they could probably do the cordyceps experimentation and get something out of pigs that would be able
But
to
are
use
the,
on
are the
humans.
pigs? That's one thing they didn't get into is whether or not this is a cross-species contamination.
Yeah,
That's
are the
what they
pigs
did.
are the
That's
pigs
true.
affected
Right.
too?
Okay.
Because
They
a lot
did
of
talk
a lot
about
of
that,
the
yeah.
a lot of the pathogens that we have right now that we get that cause our pandemics and our outbreaks and whatever else, all of the SARS-related infections, those come from usually poultry, which is contaminated, getting close
Avian
to,
flu.
and they can contaminate pigs, which can then contaminate humans. We can't get it from humans to birds or
Back
from birds to
to-
humans, but we can get it from pigs to people. We don't see
Interesting.
pigs with the cordyceps infection.
We don't see pigs
So-
at all.
No, that's
For that
true.
matter.
We saw
No,
we
they
saw
were
cows.
close. They were close in Jackson.
You so smartly.
I watched a CDC presentation on how zombies could actually exist using the science, and one of the things they talked about was an avian flu that got mixed up with, say, another type of SARS and mad cow disease, or with rabies. These are all things that could represent with these type of things. But what would it? You couldn't experiment on the pigs if the pigs can't be contaminated by the cordyceps.
Yeah.
Logan and I went to a class on this.
A whole class about
It's
zombies.
true. It was a whole class about where it's going to come from, how it's going to happen, and what to do when it gets here.
John
What's
Oliver
those?
has a really good segment about this too. I can't remember which special it's about. I think it's about like overpopulation or housing, but it talks about that's where the pandemics come from, right? Is human expansion into places where animals no longer get to go. So as animals try to get into their former homes, they have more human interaction, and that's where the disease
Or you
cross-contamination
have
happens.
places where the population density is so intense that you have people actually raising livestock in the same house as a family of 14.
Bubonic plague. That's how bubonic plague
Well,
started.
that's how a lot of the avian flu that we see coming out of the Pacific Rim comes about, is just urban density. And you have a chicken in your one-bedroom house with your family of 6, but
Which is why
what's-
government regulations are important.
What scares me about
chickens in the
That's the
bedroom.
terms and
what
conditions.
scares me about the CDC thing, though, more than anything, is the fact that they're talking about it means they've studied it.
Oh
Yes.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
And
Oh,
what
you know they
better
have.
what better way to get a hold of a resource that you need than to be able to release, say, a zombie pathogen that would wipe out the entire, where the people would wipe each other out, and then 48 hours, 72 hours later, when it's run its course, you go through, you burn everything, and then you have the resource. I mean, a zombie plague is actually the best way to wage a war, because the population
Well,
will wipe itself out.
One last thing before we wrap up. There's a book on Audible you can get by Peter Kleins. I just listened to it last week. It's called Junkie Quatrain. Lee, you just summed up the plot of Junkie Quatrain. It's wild. It's only like a 6-hour listen. It's really good.
Only?
All right. Only.
Only.
I think that wraps up our coverage on The Last of Us Season 1. Just
The Last of Us, blah, 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 blah.
So Jay starts blasting. 10 out of 10 for this series, for this season, if
Absolutely.
you ask me. Just a
Absolutely.
phenomenal
Great
piece
television.
of television, and I can't wait to see what they do with season 2. They've already confirmed that the whole of the second
2.
game will be more than one season, so we're getting more than likely at least 2 more seasons of,
At least,
of The Last of Us.
That's the thing the creators have said. We're sticking to the game. We're not going to go beyond it. Or
And hey, way to adapt a video game into something amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hats
That was-
off.
It was
to
really
them.
job.
good.
So
well,
good.
it had some. The source material was, I think, just perfect for television.
Yep.
Very, very good to adapt.
Yes.
Yep. All right. Well, thank you so much. We'll see you guys in the next episode of Geek Show or on the next deep dive. And until then, bye-bye.
Look for the light.